Hey guys, so today we are adding on to our equation notes. We are talking about what operations are necessary to solve multi-step equations. So that is our central question. That is what we should be able to answer after today. So I'm going to write down our first problem. It's going to be an example. So we're going to do a lot of different equations today that involve multi-steps. So it might be a two-step, it might have combining like terms, it might have distributing. So those are vocab words that we need to remember, and maybe once I do them with you, you'll be able to understand and remember them from when you were in 7th grade. Okay? So here's our first one. Example number 1 is 1.5x plus 15 equals 24. Okay? So I'm going to draw my mirror, and then we're going to get started. So look at this problem. I can see this is 1.5 times x, and then I can see we're adding 15. So one thing you have to know about multi-step equations is we're actually going to kind of go reverse of order of operations. Order of operations would tell us we have to do multiplication or division first. But that's not true right here because we have to get rid of this 15. So we're going to undo the addition first. And so we're going to use the inverse or opposite operation, and we're going to subtract 15 on both sides. So that's gone. So I'm just going to bring this down. I have my 1.5x, and then I know that 24 minus 15 is going to give me 9. Okay? So I undid the addition, I subtracted, and then I simplified. Now that I'm here, I can see that I only have one more operation to undo, and the opposite of multiplication is division. Now, one thing I want you guys to remember is when you divide, this right here is the same thing as saying 9 divided by 1.5. Remember, you cannot have a decimal on the outside. So if you move this decimal one time, decimals are after whole numbers, so you have to move it again, fill in the 0. So it's actually 90 divided by 15, which is actually 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6. 7, 8, 9. Okay? So x equals 6. Now, if you're not sure that that's the right answer, what can you do? Remember, you can check it. So that means you take 1.5, plug in whatever your answer was for x. Notice I put it in parentheses because it was right next to it. Plus 15 equals 24. Now we're going to follow order of operations. So I need to do 1.5 times 6. Well, we just talked about that. But remember, you have the decimal, so you have to move the decimal 1, so it's not 90, it's actually 9.0, or just 9. And then you have 9 plus 15 equals 24. Well, 9 plus 15 is 24. 24 equals 24. You checked it, you did it correctly. Okay? So that is how you do a multi-step equation. Okay? Make sure you have that ready. I'm going to push mine down, so if you need to pause it so that you can go over that again, make sure you write that down. Now, I just scooted mine down, and I'm going to do my number 2 example. Sorry guys, if you haven't figured it out by now, I really like colors. I like to color coordinate. I like to do things in different colors. It's kind of just how my brain works. If you want to write this all in pencil, go ahead. If you want to write it in pen, that is totally up to you. These are your notes. So, number 2. 8x minus 6x minus 25 equals negative 35. Okay? So I'm going to draw my mirror. Again, not necessary, but it's a really good reminder. Now, before I move anything, take a look over here. You should notice a vocab word. Right here, I can see I have 8x, and I can see I have negative 6x. This guy right here, our constant, negative 25, does not have an x. Notice I did it in a different shape. This guy cannot be put with these ones. That is a common error. That is not something we can do. They can only go together if they have like terms. So this is like saying 8x minus 6x. That's going to give us 2x. So now I can bring down the rest of my problem. Now this problem looks just like the one we just did. So we can't get rid of this multiplication yet. So we have to undo the subtraction. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. So that's gone. I just have my 2x. Now be careful over here. You have negative 35 and then you have positive 25. Okay? So you have more negatives than positives. Your answer is going to be negative, and then you just subtract them. So now I have 2x equals negative 10. I have to get rid of multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So x is going to equal negative 5. Again, how can you be sure? Let's check it. So everywhere I see this x, I'm going to plug in negative 5. Okay, so let's just start where we need to at the beginning. Order of operations says we do multiplication before we do subtraction. So I have 8 times negative 5. That's negative 40. But be careful here. This is saying negative 6 times negative 5, which is positive 30. And then I bring down the rest of my problem. So left to right, that gives me negative 10. And I have 10 negatives, 25 negatives, add them up, and negative 35 equals negative 35. Okay? So again, that is just another example of doing a multi-step equation. This time we just use combining like terms. So again, if you need to pause, if you need to go back, rewind it, rewatch it, whatever you need to do to make sure you got it, and then get ready, I'm going to turn my page and go on to another example. So here's my third example. This time you're going to notice that you have a number right next to the parentheses. That should remind you that we're going to be using the distributive property. Okay? So the first step for this problem, we cannot add first, we got to do this. So we're going to distribute first. So we're going to take this 2 and multiply it times everything inside. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times negative 5x is negative 10x. And then we just bring down the rest of our problem. I'm going to draw my mirror. Now that I distributed, again, I notice over here, I have a 2 and I have a 4. Those are like terms. Notice nothing else has the x, so I'm going to leave this 10x alone for right now. So 2 plus 4 is going to give me 6. So I'm going to have 6 minus 10x equals negative 8. Remember, keep whatever sign is in front. So now I have 6 minus 10x equals negative 8. I can't get rid of this negative 10 yet. I have to get rid of this positive 6. So the opposite of a positive, negative. So subtract 6 on both sides. Now, hopefully you remember the little jingle, same sign, sum it up. So what this actually means is negative 8 plus negative 6. It is still negative, you're just adding, and that gives you negative 14. Okay? And now you have negative 10x equals negative 14. The last step would be to divide by negative 10. Here's the deal, though. I really like fractions. I think fractions are easier. So first of all, a negative divided by negative is positive. We know our answer is positive. I want to just take 14 over 10 and reduce them. So what are these both divisible by? Yeah, go with 2. So if you divide them by 2, you're going to get 7 over 5. That answer is totally fine with me. If you actually divide it out, you're going to get 1.4. But I don't care. Unless I specifically say decimal to the nearest tenth, or if I specifically say make it a fraction, I don't really care what way you do it. We are eventually going to get to slope, and you are going to need to know how to use fractions. So if you want to get in the habit now, that might be a really good idea. Okay? So make sure you have this one, and then we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you a couple more examples of how we can solve equations with multi-steps. Now, one thing I want you guys to practice is error analysis. This is important because it really shows how you are a mathematical thinker. So I'm going to solve a problem. I'm going to do something wrong. I want you guys to watch my steps, and then when I'm done, I want you to pause it, and then I want you to actually correct the step and get the right answer. Okay? Are you ready? So here's my problem. Negative 2 times 7 minus y plus 4 equals negative 4. Okay? So watch my steps, watch my work, see if I'm doing it correctly, see where my mistake is. Okay? Okay. There's my problem. See what I did wrong. Pause it. See if you guys can figure it out. Okay. Did you guys figure it out? Right now, I want you to circle the part that I did wrong if you haven't already done it. Ready? Here's where I went wrong. If you can't figure it out, let's try it down here. Let's see if you can figure out what I did wrong if you weren't sure. So I know I have to distribute, so whatever goes on the outside goes on the inside. So negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. That's correct. Here's the problem. Negative times a negative is a positive. So that's going to change my whole problem. That's a positive 2y. Up here I had it listed as a negative. So let's see what happens. Negative 14 and 4 still gives me negative 10, but remember now it's plus 2y equals negative 4. To get that to the other side, I do have to add it. I have more positives than negatives, so it is still that positive 6. Now here's the problem. This was just a 2, and if I divide both sides, my answer should be a positive 3, not a negative 3. And if we're not sure, we can check it. So if you remember how to check it, you take whatever y equals and you plug it in. So let's try it one more time. So I have negative 2 times 7 minus 3, because y is 3, plus 4 equals negative 4. So parentheses first, I leave this negative 2. 7 minus 3 is 4. Plus 4 equals negative 4. Negative 2 times 4, negative 8 plus 4 equals negative 4. I have 8 negatives, I have 4 positives, I have more negatives than positives. I keep that sign, I subtract, and negative 4 equals negative 4. Therefore, I did it right. Okay? So make sure you guys have this. This is just another addition to your notes. So this was multi-steps with combining like terms, distributing, and error analysis. Okay? We will continue with variables on both sides and different solutions on your next set of notes. Have a good day, guys.